ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the world of V-Gaming Junkie News! The Dross was exorcised and trapped in a painting, so there's nothing but pure gaming-related media news. It is all about the electronic good stuff as we dive deep in all that's new in the various interactive virtual worlds. So apparently Naughty Dog is remaking The Last of Us. Because even though it came out recently on the PS3 and was remastered even more recently on the PS4, I guess we have to Skyrim this bad boy now. To be honest, I'm highly suspect for several reasons. For starters, the development studio that was apparently going to be doing the remake had it stripped away in favor of Naughty Dog. That alone would be pretty lousy, but this is coming off the heels of the divisive Last of Us 2, and I don't trust Neil to remake Last of Us without making it worse. To be honest, I expect something like making Joel retroactively a worse character to try to justify his grisly death to be in order. Honestly, if you want a better looking Last of Us, you should probably just stick with the PS4 remaster. It's not exactly aged badly right now. Who knows though, maybe it'll be good, but I wouldn't exactly hold my breath or anything. And so an anonymous ex-employee shed some light on the Vita's use of proprietary memory. As you may very well have suspected, the reasoning comes down to anti-hacking. Evidently, the hack on the PSN store occurred a few months prior to the Vita's launch, according to Push Square, which they speculate played a part in that. However, that in no way justifies the extreme prices for those memory sticks. They can come up with any excuse they want for using them, but their reasoning for the price boils down to simple greed. It's a real shame since the Vita actually seems like a pretty good system, only moderately weaker than the PS3. It would later be surpassed by the Switch, of course, but it probably would have been a better competitor to the 3DS had Sony not gotten greedy and not given up so quickly on it. And so it seems Bethesda is capable of becoming a slightly less greedy company after all. All jokes aside, it seems the Elder Scrolls Online will actually have a way to get the loot box items without having to spend real-world money. Apparently, starting in mid-June, you can earn some new currency called Endeavors in order to get Crown Crate items. Given that you already have to pay a subscription service just to play the friggin' game, it's good to know that they'll no longer be locking some of the content behind a strictly mandatory paywall. Even many free-to-play mobile games let you do that much, so it seems silly for a paid game not to. This comes after Microsoft bought ZeniMax, so speculation is that that had something to do with it. Maybe Microsoft can also make Bethesda's game studio make better games than less Fallout 76. And so in a move that probably surprises absolutely no one, Diablo 2 Resurrected is being censored by Blizzard. Mark Kern reveals that they had apparently fought to keep the Amazons with revealing clothing, and it's now being censored in the remake. Many will say it's not a big deal, but my question is, why are they changing it if it's not such a big deal? To me, the fact that they're bothering to change it seems like it's quite a big deal to them indeed. Thankfully on PC this is a futile effort because, as I mentioned with Mass Effect's Remastered, you know modders are just going to uncensor it anyway. Not only that, but let's be real, they'll most likely make mods that are so filthily raunchy that they'll make the original Diablo 2 look like Barney and Friends. It's weird how much things have shifted. The people who used to mock such censorship saying you can show buckets of gore but there better not be a nipple are now the ones actively calling for censorship. It truly is a very, very mad world. In other news, Square Enix has had to deny recent rumors of a buyout. They quickly shot down a rumor by Bloomberg Japan stating that there were companies expressing an interest in buying their company, essentially retorting that there was no interest on either side. While some can speculate that Square Enix is simply keeping quiet about it and only denied anything official, it seems like this really is just a rumor and should be treated as such. Gossip can be fun every now and then, but we must always take them with a heaping, helping plate of salt and not take them seriously unless there's an actual smoking gun. Did I just turn this into a cautionary tale about not blindly believing every rumor you hear? You betcha, because that's something more people need to hear nowadays. Just because you've heard about it somewhere, that doesn't instantly make it the truth. On some lighter-hearted news, Michael Pick made a giant Nintendo Switch. At almost 6 feet wide, according to The Verge, it's over 7 times the size of the original Nintendo Wii. While something similar to this has been made before as a sort of TV shell, this has one edge in that the controller actually works. No lie, Michael apparently has motors and rubber bands to make the movements of the big shell actually affect the small Joy-Con controllers inside. Interestingly, Pick is also donating this behemoth to St. Jude Children's Hospital, which is outright nice of him. I'm sure the kids there will enjoy their monstrous-sized Nintendo Switch to play around with. Should make co-op games where 2 players have one Joy-Con controller particularly interesting, even if it obviously lacks a functioning touchscreen or gyroscope. And speaking of Nintendo, apparently they're going to focus on making more original titles instead of just new Super Mario Bros. 1.5 million. According to the president, Furukawa, they'll be investing more in some original titles in addition to core titles. He emphasizes that what will be the most important is creating new experiences. While I do agree, I also think that Nintendo could create a lot of fresh new experiences with old franchises they own that have been dead for years. For instance, I always thought Geist had the potential to be their mature shooter franchise if only it was tightened up and maybe the puzzles were less linear. Heck, it's Nintendo, so you could even put some cameos to Luigi's Mansion in it. Of course, then there's franchises like F-Zero, Earthbound, and notably Chibi Robo that offer different experiences to what's currently on offer. Star Fox has sadly been pretty mistreated, although I can say that Star Fox Assault is no doubt an underappreciated gem, and I'd love to see Nintendo make more of that and less of Star Fox Zero. If they can use more of their IPs better, I think that'd get plenty of new experiences like Kid Icarus Uprising proved to be. In other news, publisher Team 17 is fighting to preserve the arcade games of old. Games Radar reports that they launched a campaign for arcade game preservation in 3 museums in New York, Sheffield, and Spain respectively. The idea is to try to preserve such hardware due to deterioration that sadly plagues such machines so that emulation will never quite have the same feeling as the original arcade units. It seems the pandemic has made things even more difficult for such efforts with an increasing reliance on crowdfunding. Let's all hope it can work out, because it would be a shame to see such important relics of our history fade into obscurity like so much of our history has already. Whether good or bad, the past must be preserved either to showcase our progress or serve as a cautionary tale of what not to do. And so the demo for Resident Evil Village is coming soon to a gaming system near you. Supposedly it gives you a full hour of content in the castle and village areas, and of course I'll definitely be trying it out for myself when I get the chance. If you're a PS4/PS5 owner, there was an early access yesterday, so unfortunately it's too late now. However, the castle will be next weekend, so you still have a chance to be smugly early to the party. For all platforms, which includes Xbox, PC, and Stadia, it'll be available May 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to the following day at the same time. If you're in Europe, you'll have to wait just a day longer, the 2nd at 1 a.m. BST through the following day. I don't know about the rest of you, but I can't wait to meet the internet's favorite vampire waifu. And speaking of castles and vampire waifus, apparently a cancelled Castlevania game showed up. A YouTuber simply named CVR Exists released a video playing the unreleased Castlevania Resurrection that was apparently supposed to have released on the Sega Dreamcast. This 3D Castlevania game was apparently intended to be a sequel to Castlevania Legends on the Game Boy, but the Dreamcast commercial failure, in addition to Konami being Konami even back then, led to it being cancelled. Kinda funny that Konami's American and Japanese divisions were having a fit, while Sega was arguably doomed as a first-party development company for pretty much the exact same reason. According to the YouTube comments, the guy actually ripped the ISO already, but is waiting to release it because he's trying to sell it on eBay. Hopefully we'll all be enjoying this thought-to-be-lost part of gaming history soon enough. And so a cosplayer decided to see what would happen if Isabelle decided to actually be a Doomslayer. A Twitter user named SpaceMonk decided to depict herself as a sort of humanish Isabelle in the Praetor suit. It looks pretty cute, and it actually ties in with something I thought about because id Software had talks of a female Doomslayer. I think if they do it, the best way would be a blonde with a hair bun, a bubbly personality, and a backstory involving a beloved Shih Tzu. If you're gonna add a female character, you may as well lean into the meme involving a female character that already exists. I, for one, would welcome that. Instead of making just Doomslayer with lady bits, you'd be making a popular meme, which I think would prove far more positively received by the internet at large. That's some free advice, id Software, and well done on the cute cosplay, SpaceMonk. Finally, it would seem Valheim has a lot of potential for people creating their own custom content within the game's world. While perhaps not nearly as expansive as something like Minecraft, it still seems to have a lot of flexibility for people looking to recreate other game environments. And as proof of that, Vanilla Bryce is recreating Dragon's Reach from Skyrim. From the looks of things, it certainly seems to be very faithfully recreated and definitely feels like something that came out of Skyrim from the looks of it. It should be interesting to see what kind of other things people come up with, like another user named Swatbath who recreated Whiterun. This is what I love about games like Minecraft, Valheim, Dreams, and Little Big Planet. Anything that encourages the community to get it on with our creative side is always a marvel to see. And as always, from the page of Games Radar, it's time for the upcoming 2 weeks' round of release dates. On the 20th is Don't Forget Me for PC, Mask Maker for PC and PSVR, and MLB The Show 21 for PlayStation and Xbox new and old. The 21st only sees World Splitter for PC, PS4, and Switch. The 22nd has Buildings Have Feelings 2 for the old Band of 4 and Orbital Bullet for PC. The 23rd sees Judgment for the 2 new consoles as well as Stadia, Nier Replicant for PC, PS4, and X1, as well as Alpha Particle for PC. The 29th has Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Wrath of the Druids for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, New and Old, and Stadia, as well as Layers of Fear VR for PSVR. Continuing on the 29th, Legend of Keepers for PC, Switch, and Stadia, and Total War Rome Remastered for PC. Finally, the 30th has new Pokemon Snap for Switch and Returnal for PS5. This week's epic freebie until next Thursday is a 3-for-1 special. You've got Deponia, the complete journey, a point-and-click adventure. Second is Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth, also a point-and-click adventure. Finally, you've got The First Tree, not a point-and-click but rather a third-person exploration game starring a fox. The next week's freebie from the 22nd and 29th is actually a two-parter itself. Alien Isolation survival horror game based off of Alien is the first. The second is Hand of Fate 2, which appears to be a card-based adventure game, interestingly enough. And as always, that rounds out this news week. I hope you enjoyed it and were well enough informed. As always, I Let's Play every single day, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m, live stream Mondays and Fridays unless otherwise specified at 4:30 p.m, and these news programs are every other Sunday at 6 p.m. due to game review alternations. That's Eastern Standard Time, but you can always subscribe and throw a Pokeball at that bell icon if you don't want to worry about keeping track of time zones. The like is always appreciated, but I just hope you genuinely enjoyed it, and that is it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. Spread this video around like the endless amount of skeletons mauling Sam Stone, and I'll see you next time. Capitalize on life, peace out, have a good one, and I'll see you next week for a game review, Nomad.